Okay, so now what we want to do is we need to wash that piece of paper off there, and that's quite easy. We just put it under the tap and just keep rubbing it. Eventually it'll come off. You can soak it for a few minutes. It does come off a bit easier when you soak it, which I would have done if I was thinking. Are we there yet? Okay. So we got rid of our paper, got rid of our glue. We dry that. Make sure it is fully dry. Do not want it to be wet even in the slightest. Okay. When you've got it dry, we're going to draw on it. However, before we draw on it with the texter, we need to make sure it is 100% clean. And to do that, we use some steel wool or some scourer. I've got some scourer here. And just give it a quick rub until you can see that the whole surface has just been scoured lightly. Turn it around, do the other side. It won't take you long, but this will just mean that the texter that we're going to use is going to, it's not going to get contaminated by any dirt that was on there. Perfect. Then what you do, have a look at your drawing, turn it around, and what we need to do with our texter, or actually this isn't a regular texter, this is a special texter, it's called a Dalo pen. Okay, what we need to do with the Dalo pen is we need to draw that diagram on the printed circuit board. When we drop it in the acid, which is actually copper sulphate, is that right?
Ammonium persulphate.
Ammonium persulphate. Okay. Ammonium persulphate. When we drop it in there, it's going to eat away all the copper that we haven't covered with the texter, with the Dalo pen. So, shh. And make sure it's nice and thick, especially around the circles that you've drilled. Also, make sure where the lines don't touch, that they don't touch here either. Particularly around these three holes, it's quite easy to make a mistake and have the texture touching. Look, if it does touch, it's no major drama. We can wipe it off and start again. It's just a bit easy if you don't actually do that. Now I'm going to do the rest of this off camera, so you're not just watching me colour in. And then I'll show you how to drop it into the, what do we drop?
Ammonium persulphate.
Ammonium persulphate. Thank you, Mr. Travis. Okay, welcome back. Now I've almost finished. A couple of things I did want to mention that I forgot to mention before. With the Dalo pen, if you want to get some more ink out of it, what you do is you just gently push it down and it releases a bit more ink out of it. Okay. You don't want it all over the place, but you do want it to be fairly thick. And what you can do to get it fairly thick is just go around each hole first with the Dalo pen first like that to make sure it's nice and thick around each hole, and then join the holes up like that. The other thing I want you to do is in this spare spot here, I want you to put your initials on there so that it doesn't get nicked or it doesn't get lost. And I'll do mine. My initials are IL. And that just means when all this copper gets eaten away, that the initials IL are going to be on there and we know whose that is. We need to let that dry. Give it a few minutes to dry. Then we put some wire through it. We tie it up. I'm going to chuck this in there right away, even though it hasn't 100% dried. We drop it in our copper,
Ammonia persulphate.
Ammonium persulphate. Hang it over the edge and make sure we switch on our bubbles and our heater, because it's got to be reasonably warm and it's got to be constantly moving around there. What's going to happen is, in the next few minutes, no, I shouldn't say next few minutes, maybe 15-20 minutes or so, all that copper is going to get eaten away except for where we've gone over it with the pen. Okay, thank you. We'll come back to this later. Okay, we're back here. This has been bubbling away now for probably about half an hour. Okay, we've actually changed the water in it. You might have noticed the colour's changed, and our copper has been eaten away everywhere except for, if you come over here, you can see, except for where our blue texture is. Okay, what we need to do now is we need to wash it, because we want to wash those chemicals off it. So just take it over to the sink, give it a quick rinse in some clean water, out of the sink, dry it. And then we get some steel wool, and we want to get rid of all that texture from the Dalo pen. Let's get some steel wool. Quick, easy clean, and you'll see it comes off quite easily. I'll take this wire out of it. I don't need that anymore. So you can see it doesn't take very long to clean it. There we go. And if you have a look at that, that is a circuit board now with our circuit, with our copper. I've also got my initials in there, so nobody can take that. And we are ready to start soldering and adding components to it. Thank you.